So it's been officially announced that every single person receiving SNAP benefits, all 42 million people, are going to have to reapply. We just want to make sure that you actually need these benefits. Now, obviously, this is because we're trying to target the most vulnerable, and we think less of people that need government assistance, and we just want to get rid of all of them and make their life more difficult, and we don't care. At least that's the take that I'm hearing from liberals. But if you want to have a logical approach to this, it really is just to make sure that the people that are getting SNAP benefits, that the most vulnerable, can access them as easily as possible, and that we actually can use what limited funds we have to take care of the people most in need. That is a rational way to view this. And I think in part, as I've said before, we can thank the Democrats for this conversation, because without the government shutdown, I don't think that any of us would have really known that there's 42 million people receiving SNAP benefits, and we wouldn't have had as many people on TikTok voluntarily admitting that they're abusing the system. I'm sorry. You just can't make this stuff up. So what we're going to go through today is just a few clips. We're going to talk about Secretary Rollins, who highlighted just how much fraud and abuse they have found, and just some of the responses to this new measure. They're about as unhinged as you would expect. But I think that we can all agree that removing fraud and abuse of a government system where we are the ones that are paying for it is a necessary thing. So before we get too much further, I'm Outspoken Samantha. I appreciate you so much for being here. Please hit the like button on this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for doing both of those things. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is this clip from Senator Rollins, or Secretary Rollins, excuse me. And she is talking about how at the beginning of the year, around February, they actually requested, for the first time in history, requested data from every single state based on their SNAP benefits and who's receiving them. And after going through all of this with a fine-tooth comb, that this has actually been going on for months, they are finding out just how much fraud and abuse is happening. And that's kind of what is triggering this whole thing to say, you know what? I don't know if we can just repair this program. We need to just start from scratch. So here is what that data request looked like and some of the things that they found.
Day one of USDA, February 13th, is we sent letters to every governor in America being very clear that no illegal aliens can use SNAP. 0, 0, 0. We asked every state for the first time in history, and this was in February, to send us their data and let us, with Doge and a war room, actually start going through this data to better understand how this explosion of SNAP benefits happened under Joe Biden. We increased almost 40% on this program in just a couple of years under the Biden administration. Of course, we know they were trying to buy the election, but that's a conversation for another time. And since we have asked for that data, 29 states have complied. Of course, almost all the red states, a couple of the couple blue states too. But in that data, and I haven't talked about this yet publicly, in that data we studied about $100 billion in spend. We have found thousands and thousands of illegal use of the EBT card. We have been moving people off of SNAP. We've got almost 700,000 people, I think, we've moved off just since the president took office. We've arrested about 118 people. So this has been ongoing. But Rachel, to your point, what this conversation has allowed is a national spotlight on a broken and corrupt program. We found one guy in 6 different states getting a benefit. We found about 5,000 people that are dead who are still getting benefits. Like, it is time to drastically reform this program so that we can make sure that those who are truly needy, truly vulnerable, are getting what they need, and the rest of the corruption goes away, and we can serve the American taxpayer.
Now, I think it's interesting, again, that they have been researching this since the beginning of the year. They started looking into this immediately, and for the first time ever, they asked all of these states to hand over their data. We need to know who's getting these, where the problems are, and are illegal immigrants actually receiving benefits? Because if you ask Democrats, they're always going to insist that illegal immigrants are not getting anything for free in this country, according to them, even though we know, per countless reports, that a huge incentive for people to come over the border illegally over the last 4 years was the promise of all of this free stuff that America was going to give them. So yeah, that was definitely a thing. Now, this is an independent journalist named Brooke Rollins, and she's talking about this report of the actual explosion of people using EBT, food stamps, government assistance under the Biden presidency. It went from about 17 million people to the 42 million people that we're hearing now. So I'm going to let her share a little bit about that report.
think about this, before Joe Biden was president, we had around 17 million Americans that were receiving SNAP benefits every month. Since Joe Biden was president, now we have 42 million people who are receiving SNAP benefits each month. And I say people because 59% of the people that are receiving SNAP benefits are illegal immigrants. Joe Biden allowed millions upon millions of people to come into America illegally, and now we are paying for them.
So the argument that illegal immigrants are not benefiting from our tax dollars, and let me just backtrack just a little bit here. I think that these programs, we should stop referring to them as government assistance and start referring to them as taxpayer assistance, because anything that comes from the government is funded through us. The government is not a money-making machine. It is not in the business of producing anything. The government lives off of us. So we need to call it what it is. These are taxpayer assistance programs. We need to start to humanize it a little bit and understand that every time you fund this fraud, every time you give money to people that are not contributing to the system and shouldn't be here, you're taking it out of the pockets of people that are already living paycheck to paycheck. We have no problem taking care of people that need it, but we cannot take care of everybody on planet Earth. And as far as this argument about whether or not illegal immigrants are receiving these, you can argue against it all you want. It doesn't align with reality, but then please explain to me why under Biden's presidency, the HHS was reporting to illegal immigrants, if you apply for these benefits, we're not going to report your immigration status.
SNAP is a nutrition program that helps with the cost of healthy food. Enrolling your eligible children in these programs will have no effect on the immigration status of you or anyone in your family, including applications for a green card or for U.S. citizenship. Any information you provide on the application will only be used to determine your child's eligibility. This information will not be shared with immigration enforcement.
Aside from all of that, encouraging people and saying if you are here illegally or if you are somebody that is not from this country and you apply, we're not going to tell anybody what your immigration status is. Now, why would you say that if you weren't encouraging people whose immigration status is in question to apply for it? I'm just saying, just using my noggin here. I thought it was funny at the beginning when she said the SNAP benefit program is to provide assistance in providing healthy food. Yet something that I've been hearing a lot lately, and I don't have one of these clips, but is that the number one food that is purchased on SNAP is soda. And I believe the next one is chips. So yeah, this is not something that is providing healthy, nutritious food. There's no restrictions on it. People can buy whatever they want. And just as a little background on me, I used to work in a grocery store for about 3 years. I was a cashier. This was a long, long time ago. You could always tell which people were most likely to pay with SNAP. Their carts were always full of chips, always full of like the most unhealthy processed food, soda, you name it, every single time. So that stereotype is legitimate. But what I find interesting is that in America, our most impoverished people, the people that we think are starving or that they're going to die of starvation if they don't get these benefits, they are the most obese people in this country. We have like the fattest population of people in poverty than any other country. Like if you look at any, third world country or any country that actually does have a starving population, they're all emaciated. But here, if you're starving in America, then you're probably like 100 pounds overweight. And this was a statistic that Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew were discussing about the obesity rate if you're on food stamps versus if you're not.
Reading that SNAP's going to run out, and 40 million people are going to go.
40 million.
40 million. Okay, listen to me, everybody. This whole thing of like 40 million people are going to go hungry. First off, those 40 million people average an extra 40 pounds on them over the average working American. If you took the average person that's on SNAP getting free food and the average person that gets no free food from the government, the average female who gets no free food from the government is 146 pounds. The average SNAP recipient is 211 pounds. So is it a food? I know. First off, we talk about going hungry. Nobody could benefit from a nice fast More than the SNAP recipients.
So yeah, the average person that is starving in America is like 40, 60, 100 pounds overweight. Make it make sense. Now, of course, as I said in the beginning, if you're a liberal, you're going to look at this and think you want people to die. You want to get rid of the most vulnerable. You don't care about people that are on SNAP benefits because they legitimately can't work. And of course, that's a very nonsensical take, but we're going to look at just one of these. And I did make a short about this woman, but we'll just have to respond again because this is generally the consensus that I've seen from liberals on social media and their take and how they're interpreting this.
So they want to make 42 million people reapply for SNAP benefits, even though they have to refill out everything every 6 months to see if they still qualify anyway. Friends, you cannot sugarcoat this in any fashion or way or throw any kind of spin on this other than they are literally trying to eliminate the most vulnerable of people. There is no other way to look at this.
And then she just gets speechless because she's so baffled about this whole idea. And that's a hysterical reaction, as we know. That is a way to look at it if you are constantly fueled by fear and rage and propaganda. But the rational way to look at this is to understand that if you get rid of the fraud and abuse of these systems, then people that actually need them are going to have an easier time accessing them. And we want people who need them to use them. We don't want people to starve. Believe it or not, whether you're on the left or the right, we have a common goal of taking care of people who actually need it. It should not be a goal to let people get away with abusing the system. But that seems to be what these people are advocating for. And they are insistent that nobody is abusing the system. And also, she's saying everybody has to reapply every 6 months anyway. So they're already doing something that they know how to do and that they're capable of doing. You're not asking anything more of them than what is already part of this program for them. So then how is that a problem? They're just being asked to do it sooner. But of course, with the left, everything is a problem. Everybody, they're always a victim. In this case, they're a victim of paperwork. But there is one video in particular that is going viral right now that is just a blatant demonstration about why this needs to happen. And people are speculating that it's this particular video, even though I don't know if I believe it, that sparked the request to make all 42 million people just reapply. So, I mean, and this is the kind of thing that people are voluntarily posting on social media. And then we're being yelled at for saying, you know what? Just make everybody reapply. Let's just verify that everything that they're telling us is true.
I'm trying to figure out why the people so mad about food stamps. And it's only the palm color people. Like, literally, if you want food stamps, just apply and lie. That's it. Apply and lie. You see how they be stealing from us? Steal from them. Literally, you can have a 9 to 5, a 5 to 10, a 10 to 12 job and still get that EBT. Just tell them you don't work. That's it. Just tell them you don't work and you gonna get the funds. I've been doing it. I'm gonna still keep doing it. I'm gonna forever do it. Catch me if you can.
She's somebody that is receiving food stamps, and she says that the way that she's been doing it is lying about not working. But there's no fraud. Why would somebody upload this to the internet? Do you know that we can see you? Do you know that HHS can see you? Do you know that your local government office that distributes these benefits can see you? And it's not that hard to track you down. That is where we are at with that situation. I would love to hear what you guys think about this. If you think that we're just being big meanies by making people fill out paperwork that they already have to fill out anyway every 6 to 12 months, or if you think that this is going to be a beneficial thing in cleaning out the corruption, cleaning out the abuse, and making sure that we can actually sufficiently take care of the people who need it. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. As you guys know, we always end with Charlie Kirk. So keep it real, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
How do we address the poverty issue in so many of our great cities?
So if you want to not live in poverty, you follow these 3 steps, and by age 30, there is a 97% chance you will not be in poverty.
And what study is that?
This is from Brookings, I believe.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, okay.
I'm pretty sure it's out of Brookings. Brad Wilcox has written about this. I think it's Isabel Sawhill. But if you just Google success sequence, there's a lot of interesting sociological work on this. So the 3 steps: first, graduate from high school. Second step is get a full-time job. And the third step is get married before you have children. It's that simple. Like, those are the 3 steps. You follow those steps. By the time you're 30, you're almost certainly not going to be living in poverty.